Never did I expect to get to go on a trip to Yosemite with the Navy's Morale, Welfare, and Recreation program. I always thought I would be roughing it up in my vehicle and trying to fight for a camping spot or something. This week I was very lucky to be the last member to be able to sign up for the Yosemite trip. We stayed 3 nights in Curry Village. Here there are yurts visitors can rent out. Each yurt has 4 beds inside and a light. There are bathrooms sprinkled around the village in different locations. Near the small visitor center, there are also showers for a weary visitor to use. The first day started off with the MWR staff preparing a large breakfast. The group and I gathered around to partake in the victuals being served. They also included lunch products to create sandwiches with so we could take them on the trails. Before starting the hike, we gathered around the MWR leader for our briefing. Here they gave us different options of what we could do for the day. There were multiple hikes that day, and each MWR staff member was taking a group to different destinations. This made it easy for those wanting to enjoy more leisure trails versus difficult ones. I chose the group that decided to go to Vernal and Nevada Falls, of course. This was a 6 to 7 mile journey and proved to be the most difficult one to take. Over the past years, Yosemite has been very dry, and this summer, some parts of it were on fire. We were lucky to have gotten there right after a rainstorm hit. This made everything much clearer and more beautiful. I had heard from a buddy who'd visited a month ago the sky was dark with clouds of smoke from the fires. He said this made it feel difficult to enjoy the park to its fullest. The elevation to Nevada Falls was a 2,000-foot elevation gain, while Vernal Falls was a 1,000-foot elevation gain. Breaks were much needed, and the group I was in stopped to make sure everyone was doing all right. With the weather being so dry, Vernal Falls was not misting, and the trail proved to be easy and dry. The hardest part was going up in some areas quickly. To get to the top of Vernal Falls, we had to take a steep granite stairwell with 600 steps to get to the top. This was a challenge for most and was a great workout. People say you could see a rainbow at Vernal Falls. This is correct. When I was climbing, I could see a faint one near the bottom where the mist was kicking up. Once to the top of Vernal Falls, the group stopped for a brief snack and met a few furry friends. We did not feed the little critters, but they sure knew when we were eating something. You guys look so happy sitting there in the sunshine, so everybody feels bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Yeah. After our break, we moved on to Nevada Falls. The trail up was amazing. There were streams and small waterfalls along the way to our destination. The farther we hiked, the better the views started to get. Further along, we came to a bridge with an overlook of where we just hiked. The clear blue sunny skies this day made us realize why so many people wanted to make the trip to see this national park. The trails were very crowded, but we managed to do well when we spread out over time. As we approached Nevada Falls, there were switchbacks going through the forest. Every turn and switchback gave a new view of the valley below. The massive granite walls rising up all around the valleys were so impressive to see. It makes you realize why this was chosen to be a national park. Getting closer to the top, there were streams and small pools of waters from the mountain runoff. All of this water was going to the falls. The bridge going across felt like a moment in a movie scene, but a movie was far from my thoughts. Could not help but consider how lucky I was to be here to see this magnificent place. Once at the falls, we headed down the other side. Some of the trails are dangerous, and it is wise to keep watching where your footing is going so you don't fall off the mountainside. I found myself very at ease on the trails and was impressed by how the park kept them maintained. Going down the other side, my group had many different switchbacks to follow. There were times we found ourselves trotting down because it was easier on our knees and joints. After going up for so long and coming down, the muscles become tired. With tired muscles, hiking form becomes sloppy and injuries going down are more prone to happening. Once I was back at Curry Village. I was told supper was at 5:30, and this gave me enough time to hike the Mirror Lake Trail. Once I arrived, the lake was dry from the lack of rain. Before me, though, was the Half Dome. This large, sheer piece of rock coming up from the ground was breathtaking. All around me were walls of granite. The view was spectacular. On my way back to camp, I ran across a herd of deer. I followed them and watched at a distance. It's always a breath of fresh air to see nature being able to enjoy something that isn't touched by human hands. My first day in Yosemite consisted of hiking a total of 13 miles. My legs were definitely feeling the hikes, but in a good way. Anytime I am someplace new and I become tired of exploring, I think to myself, when will I ever be back in this spot? And I push on. At the end of the day, MWR prepared a large cookout for all the sailors who attended the trip. There were burgers, hot dogs, corn, beans, and other foods to eat.
What was that sound?
You guys, it's burgers and dogs.
The staff had a great layout and were so accommodating to everyone. Close by, there was a gathering of Afghans who were dancing. Some of our group decided to go over and show off some moves. The next day was very cold, and the MWR made everyone hot breakfast to enjoy. There were hot teas, cocoa, and coffee. Shortly after, they brought in a bunch of other food they were preparing. After breakfast, we got into the vans and went to our destinations. A group went to the iconic lookout spot of the valley in Yosemite and were able to get some pictures. Shortly, we loaded up and went to our final destination to hike. We arrived at the trailhead of Sentinel Dome and we took off from there. The forests in this part of the park were even more breathtaking. The scenery was ever-changing throughout the hike. This national forest draws millions of visitors each year, and it was actually the first place to spark the idea of national parks. During the sunset, the granite walls coming up look like they are on fire with a beautiful red glow. Along the way to the final destination, there were many spots where you could look over the cliffs and see across the valley. There are not many hand railings, and the way down is far. Yosemite National Park can be dangerous and needs to be respected when hiking or doing outdoor activities. What really made this park and this trip so special was the fact that my father carried me in a carrier on miles of trails years ago when I was a baby. The realization that I was following my parents' footsteps gave me a sense of pride and home feeling. Never did I think I would actually be hiking these trails that they once hiked. We stopped for breaks quickly because we were running out of time. Ryan decided he would take a short nap before moving forward. The others all broke out snacks and relaxed while they could. The landscape itself supports more than 400 species, and it is home to one of the tallest waterfalls in the world. Thousands of climbers come to the park a year because of all the different spots there are. At night, during certain seasons near the waterfalls, you can see rainbows. This is because the lunar light is bright enough to reflect the mist and create one. Sentinel Dome sits at 8,100 feet elevation and has one of the best 360 views all around. We got to the top and got some amazing photos of everything we could see. It was extremely crowded up top, and we shortly left. Once leaving the top of Sentinel Dome, a group of 2 others and me ended up hiking Glacier Point Trail. We had never been and wanted to see what the view looked like. One of the MWR staff named Robert was kind enough to go with us so we could go check it out. Again, we got to see some amazing views of the park. Coming back, our legs were super tired. At this point in our journey, we had been hiking 2 straight days. The total mileage came to 28 miles in 2 days. When we got back to home camp, the MWR staff made us amazing tacos. Everyone got a large fill of food that night. The MWR staff did an incredible job with this trip, and I was grateful to be a part of it.